No mai haere mai, and welcome to the Prepare for Otago talk show. I'm Victoria McInerney.
And I'm Sarah Ewing.
We're regional market managers within the International Office, and for the next hour we're going to chat with three fabulous students on why they chose Otago, their study tips, and what student life is like at Otago and in Dunedin.
This is also a great opportunity for you to ask our students any questions that you have before you come to study at New Zealand's oldest university, which is ranked in the top 1% in the world.
But before we introduce our guests, we'd like to show you all a very cool video on why students chose Otago and why you should ignore those urban myths.
People said Otago is too far away.
But I said I want to go further with my study.
People said Dunedin is too cold.
I said no, it's actually pretty cool.
People said Dunedin is too small.
But I said you become a big part of the city and make a big impact.
People ask, how can I make friends here?
And I said, how many?
People ask, why did I choose Otago?
And I said, you just have to come and see for yourself.
Accept your offer.
Choose Otago.
That video really does set up the theme for today's talk show, and we have 3 out of the 5 stars from that video with us today. I'd like to remind you that if you have any questions, please use the Facebook chat or Zoom chat and send them through, as we've got staff answering these questions for you.
Okay, so in the meantime, I would like to introduce you to the fabulous Alissa, Quang, and June. So, starting with you, Alissa, a little bit of an introduction.
Hi, I'm Alissa and I'm from the Philippines and I'm currently studying software engineering in the lovely University of Otago.
Fantastic. Quang?
My name is Quang. I'm from Vietnam. I'm currently studying international business and I'm almost in my final years.
Fantastic. And last but not least, June.
Hi, I'm June. I'm also from Vietnam, and I just finished my first year doing a double major in marketing and management, and I'm also picking up a minor in writing next year.
Fantastic.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for participating in this show. I'm going to ask you all, first of all, why did you choose Otago? So let's start with you, June.
So I did high school in Queenstown, which is, in the South Island, and I just feel like I really made Queenstown my home, which is why I chose Dunedin, because it's only a 3-hour drive away from Queenstown, and I just like the way that the people in the South Island are really friendly, lovely people, and Dunedin campus it set out really well to make the student life a lot more interesting, and I'm really glad that I chose to come to Otago.
Fantastic. Quang?
I came to Otago because it was difficult. So I used to study in Wellington, and the atmosphere there enables me to choose a more easier options, like Victoria University. I mean, it's literally in the city. So I was thinking, but Dunedin is a foreign place. It has a strong student culture, which is unique from the Wellington culture I'm accustomed to. And Otago is also a school I have never heard of before until now. So I decided to come over there to overcome some of the challenges, and I find myself really liking here.
Fantastic. And Alissa?
Well, I come from the Philippines in a little tiny town, and then I went here to New Zealand, and then I decided that, you know what, I want to go to uni in a big city. That's the first thought that I had. So I was researching Auckland University, Victoria University. But for me, the student life did not appeal to me as much as it did in Otago. I think what really interested me in coming to Otago is the student life, how friendly the people are, and how pretty the campus is and how close everything is together, as well as the city. I think what people say that Dunedin is such a student city, because everywhere you look you can see a student. And I think that's really attracted me to come to Otago. And I was like, okay, I'll stay at Otago then.
Nice, that's great, all three of you. Now, It is quite unusual that we have nobody who's been in Auckland, first of all, but I am going to ask June this because Queenstown is not normally a choice that we have our students who go directly to. Normally it would be Auckland being the biggest city. So Queenstown to Dunedin has been a little bit of a shift, but has it lived up to expectations?
So I came from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, which is biggest city in Vietnam pretty much. And at the beginning, going to Queenstown was a little bit intimidating, considering how quiet and a bit countryside it is. But I found out that I really enjoy a more quiet, calm life. And yeah, it's been lovely so far, moving to Dunedin. Queenstown's a bit like a small city, and Dunedin's a bit like a big town. The vibes are pretty much very similar, and yeah, it's been a great change.
Fantastic. Okay, so got a bit of a background about you now. Now we also know that you have very recently received your university results this year. And I'm seeing some smiles, so this is good. We did hear that you've all done pretty well. So I was going to start with June, but I just finished with June, so I'm going to go to Alissa and start this one off. How about some tips and share amongst the three of you of what you would say to get some good results?
Yeah, you know, balancing student life and academic life in Otago is quite hard, especially if you like, you know, going out. But I feel like if you set out your priorities straight, if you're like, okay, I want to get grades, I want to have a good mark, and you're like, okay, you just actually sit down and study. But for me, the greatest tip that I would recommend is actually talking to the people around you, especially the ones in your lectures, in your tutorials. You're just like, hey, do you want to, you know, study together and stuff? Because I think what I learned here is that everybody is in the same boat as you. Everybody's struggling the same thing as you're struggling with. So might as well talk to people beside you, go form a study group and just study together. And I think if you don't want to talk to your people around you, might as well talk to someone older than you, like the people that are above your year, because I think what I learned the most is that they give amazing tips. They're like point you to the right direction on what to study with your exams. So I'm like so grateful that people are so friendly because you can ask so many questions to them.
Awesome. Quang.
I totally get you. Like
Yeah.
when I first came, balancing study life and just having fun in general is very difficult because it's just so appealing. There's so much to do. But yeah, I found a solution to that, and it's probably one of the best studying tips that I can get people as well. Make your education into an entertainment itself. Otago University encourage creativity and originality in your work. So let's say you're studying a commerce paper. It's not just about studying what's in the book, it's also your opinion with arguments, with supporting points from those books as well. So I find it very fun to, you know, add some originality into my work, and that makes it really fun, and that really helps balancing between the entertainment life and also the academic life.
Very cool.
Just have fun.
So sweet. I agree with the point of, you know, having a community of students around you that can help, but also the support from the university itself is also really helpful to me. So I just finished my first year, and for most of the first year's paper, Otago University offers PASS sessions, which is peer assisted study sessions, and basically you just have a student from a year or two above you, and they in a study group, and people just exchange tips and pointers on how to do exams, how to finish assignments, and yeah, it's really helpful, and I would recommend doing that in your first year of study if you can.
Yeah, just to add up on that, it's just not that, but tutorials in mandatory paper are extremely good. Like if you just attend them, you probably get the gist of what's going on. And I just attend tutorials, and of course with lectures, and I find it really helpful for my results. Like there's a visible difference with papers I participate in tutorials and paper I do not, and certainly PASS does help as well.
Yeah. I was just going to add up to that because I did PASS for my law course, my law paper, and I just found it extremely helpful. It's because it's just a community where you just share ideas, balance ideas between people, with your fellow students, with your fellow classmates, and it's not intimidating because you only have like 10 people in one room, and then you have a person as your teacher that's like a year above than you. So it's just so helpful because they give you amazing tips on your course. So, yeah.
So how did you find out about PASS when you first got here?
Actually, every lecturer mentioned it in every single one of my paper in the first one. Yeah, like it's on the slides, it's on the blackboard classroom itself, everywhere.
So there's no escaping not hearing about PASS.
Yeah. You'll see PASS wherever you go.
PASS means pass by the sounds of it. Fantastic.
Hey, Alissa, I'd love to talk to you about the flexibility in an Otago degree. Now, you changed from a Bachelor of Law to software engineering.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So when I first got to uni, I was a bit unsure on what I wanted to do, for my degree. And what I really think is the most amazing thing about Otago is that you have the flexibility to choose your courses. So I chose Bachelor of Laws. I also did a commerce paper, a commerce course, and then I also did software engineering course. And I think that's what really set up to me and was like, okay, this is what I want. I want to do software engineering after this year. I think that's what's really amazing about it is because here in Otago you have the luxury to choose whatever paper you have compared to other universities like from different countries. Because I know in the Philippines when you say, oh, I'm doing law, like you're just doing law. You can't go to other fields. You can't go to other courses. You're just set in stone with law. But for in Dunedin and Otago, it's not like that. You have the chance to choose whatever paper you have interest at and see where where you're good at, I guess. So yeah, we're really lucky to have that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with the flexibility because so I finished my first year in the Bachelor of Commerce, but I was really interested in the minor of writing, and literally I just got to click, hey, I want to do writing, and I've got writing in my degree now. Yeah, it's really simple to just choose what you want to do.
Yeah.
I actually removed my minors. So
adding and removing the flexibility. Tell us a bit about that.
Just about that. So these two guests here have talked about how wonderful the flexibility in choices. However, I must emphasize on the flexibility in time and cost. So to finish my degree, if I had to keep my minors, then it would have extended for another 1 or 2 years, and I didn't want that. So time for me is quite pressed. I went to the course coordinator, and she just, work it out, remove my minor, transfer some of my credits. The flexibility ingrained in the system itself enables me to have one time less for my degree. So if anyone is having problem with money or wants to graduate sooner, so you have that options. You always have that options.
And I was gonna emphasize on if you want to choose to, go to a different path, you need to realize that your credits aren't gonna just disappear. You aren't wasting time because your credits are still gonna go towards your degree. So you're not wasting time. Let's say I go from Bachelor of Laws to software engineering. I'm good because I didn't waste a whole year of doing Bachelor of Laws because my Bachelor of Laws credits got transferred to my software engineering course. So yeah, quite lucky that we're able to do that, I guess.
I'm so glad too that with the flexibility of an Otago degree, you guys sound like you're finding your passion.
Yeah.
And when you come to university your first year, you're directed by parents, maybe friends, you're not quite sure. It's not high school, right? So being allowed that first year to find your feet, see if this is what you want to do, change if you don't, take off those minors and carry on doing that in your second, maybe not more your third year, you really kind of got to get to know what you want to do. I think it's really, really great.
Yeah, you get to be a first year actually, in both mind and body.
Yeah.
Not just someone who has planned out all his life within the first day.
Yeah.
Very cool. So Quang, I'm going to ask you, because you're studying a Masters of International Business, and you gave a little bit of insight that you've been doing some work with some overseas students, so we'd love to hear a bit more about that.
Oh yeah, so I'm doing a level 2 management paper. It was about international management, considering I'm an international student. So I went to this paper expecting only to read books and answer questions, but apparently it's the exact opposite. It relies heavily on practical skills, and I was surprised by that. So to get credits, you need to enroll in multiple programs that enables you and forces you to use the theory you have learned in class to a practical setting. And of course, to keep up with the trend, there was a project at the end of the year that's called GEE, which is a virtual team project. And I had to work with people from Nigeria, Switzerland, China, Philippines, and there's such a rich diversity. And it makes me face obstacles that are relevant to, real life, like how to manage time zone, like technical things in virtual settings. And it just trains me to work in an environment where my career will benefit from. And I didn't expect that from just a level 2 paper. And I'm waiting to do my level 3 paper, which has even more opportunities to put my skill to a test.
Fantastic. I wonder how many more countries you can speak with.
Thankfully, they all speak English. So it's quite easy to read.
Fantastic.
Hey, look, when we're promoting the university, one of the messages we're also always so proud to tell everyone is the fantastic student support that this university provides. So I'm going to ask each of these wonderful students to tell us what type of service that they've been used to. What have you found really super helpful to go towards your studies or help your studies? So I think I'll start with Alissa.
For me, it's a big help joining groups. For me, there was this computing for girls called Comp Girls, Otago. And because my degree is just full of guys, I'm not gonna lie, and I am a bit intimidated just to talk and just speak up. And then I found this amazing group, and there were just a group of girls doing code and doing the same thing as I am. And I was so shocked. I was like, oh my God, you guys exist. And it's just helped me so much through this paper because they've actually helped me speak up when I was so shy of speaking up because I was in a room full of guys. They just gave me this boost of confidence. They helped me through my paper. They helped me, do this, study this. This is what you're wrong at. And it's just such an amazing guide to your degree, I guess. And also further commenting about PASS, that's such an amazing student support. And also Ask Otago. I don't know if you can include that, but
You can totally include Ask Otago.
because at first I was so unsure about, if I can do this or my papers, like changing my course. I was just unsure about everything, and I think Ask Otago just helped me so much, and they reply really quickly. So
Yeah.
really
So to
good.
give a bit of an explanation about Ask Otago, they are a fantastic service that is situated in our central hub in our library, and they're there from 8 in the morning till 11 at night, I think, yeah. And you literally go and ask Otago. So any question you have, they can, if they don't know the answer, they will find the answer for you. And if any of you are emailing the university at university@otago.ac.nz, it's the Ask Otago team that will be able to help you out too. So, yeah, awesome.
Quang, service?
Yeah, definitely. So Ask Otago is certainly one of the service I use the best, but the one I remember the most is probably the Unipol communities. They include so many things that are great for physical fitness in Unipol. You got sports, you got people who are doing weightlifting, and you got hardcore cardio goers, and you got classes for every single thing that exists, kickboxing, yoga, and everyone there is just so helpful. Like you drop into the gym and you are new to it, you feel kind of strange, but people can just help you out. They come to you and ask, are you okay, do you need some help? And that kind of community really enables a long-term interest in physical fitness. And having a good body in university is quite important considering, the kind of workload we have.
Yes, I have to agree on Unipol. The facility there is great, and the staff are always really helpful. And it's really cool that it's free for all students to join as long as you have a student ID card. And also, it's pretty close to where most students live in Dunedin. It's like a 15-minute walk, pretty much. And it's just a nice walk along the campus, and you can work out and feel good about yourself. And on the note of physical health, I would like to mention student health, which is the medical assistance system that we have here at Otago University. It's really helpful for international students who don't really have like a family doctor in New Zealand. And they have the insurance system which helps you, like if you have any concerns about your health, it's very affordable to contact student health, and they will sort you out with pretty much any concerns that you have.
Fantastic. So a real mix, and that's just some of the many services that we have, but it's great to see that you're really taking advantage of them and enjoying using them as well. It's fantastic.
So I think a few questions are coming in, Sarah.
Oh, we have questions.
We do.
So thank you for sending some through. So I'm going to read from the iPad. Okay. We have got somebody from Facebook, Zol from Facebook. What were some of the difficulties you faced as a Southeast Asian student studying in a New Zealand university?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I can think of a few on top of my head just right now. What about you guys?
No, you go, because it's gonna get deep.
It's gonna go real deep.
Yeah.
Right. So the first thing I encountered was cooking.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very everyday life. So as a Southeast Asian students, most of the cuisines we have specialize in spices, and to recreate some of those spices over here is really difficult. And if you can't get the taste at every single dinner, you will miss home. And I find it really helpful to just eat the food that my local friends make, so I can get used to the New Zealand cuisine, especially fish and chips. Yeah, so that's one of the problems I encounter, which is just food.
Yeah.
It's the small things, but adds up every day, it becomes a big problem.
Yeah. And the local Asian supermarkets that we've got, because we've got the new one on the corner.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Near
another
campus,
one
yeah.
right now.
Is that, are you able to access more?
Not with spices,
Not
but
with
Yeah,
spices.
like
some
you get
dry
packet
food.
foods. Yeah, exactly. But spices,
Yeah,
you miss that a lot.
definitely.
Oh, that's the problem. If they're fresh, you're not going to be able to bring them in. Okay, so at least we've got some supermarkets, all right, that
Yeah, we do.
can cater to the packaged stuff, maybe not the spices. All right.
For me, one of the difficulties I faced, like the first year that I was here, which was when I was in high school, was just the confidence. I just had lacked self-esteem of speaking English, talking to Kiwis, locals. I was just so shy. Like, I just didn't want to talk to anybody. I just stayed with my circle, I guess. I just didn't want to talk to anybody. I was shy. I was like, nope, I'm not going to talk to you. You're an English speaker. No. And I think that was what hindered, like, my opportunities, I guess, when I was in high school. But then the more open you get, the more time you're here, the more you realize that, oh, these are people. They're like me, they're just speaking a different language. Then you're gonna realize that, oh, we're all the same, so might as well, I'm gonna talk to you, I guess. And then the more you talk, I guess, to people, the more confident you get with your English. The more you're like, oh, this is a piece of cake. I can write in English, I can speak in English, I can do whatever I want in English. So yeah, and then that's when your confidence just gets boosted, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah.
I came to New Zealand in the middle of summer of Vietnam, but it is winter in New Zealand, and I was really intimidated by how supposedly cold it was going to be, but it's genuinely, it's not that bad. It's not that cold. You think that it is, but it is a nice dry way of just coolness, and as long as you know how to dress for it. It's actually really nice to not be sweating all the time, coming from a Southeast Asian country. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we've got another one from Facebook, Jasmine. How hard were so this is for the commerce students, how hard were the business core papers for first year students?
You can go ahead with this one.
I would say not hard. I don't think it is hard. They are very interrelated. So as long as you pay attention in class, you can apply accounting in finance, you can apply stats in business and society. You can, there's a lot of interconnectedness between them. And they are designed for people who has never done any of the sorts of business paper before in high school to do. I didn't do accounting, I didn't do economics, and I went to high school in New Zealand. I didn't do any of them, but the papers were just very comprehensive, and they're meant to teach you from the beginning. You should not be intimidated by it because they're designed to help you out.
Nice.
Yeah. If you aren't intimidated by a sample food in supermarket, you shouldn't be intimidated by this first year paper as core paper, because at the end of the day, it's to guide you on your interests. If you take it and you like it, it is a major right there. Like each paper are designed like a small sample size of each major, so you can just go ahead and choose. You know, have fun with it.
Yeah, because my major is marketing and management, but I was this close to sway to economics just because of how cool that core paper in economics was.
I don't know if I've heard economics being described as cool before, so that's good.
You can like a lot of graphs, like a lot of them.
Love it.
The student lifestyle in Dunedin really sets the University of Otago apart from any other university in New Zealand. There's no other city in New Zealand where 20,000 students live on and around the campus within about 1.5 kilometres. So I want to first of all ask about accommodation. How was your experience, June, living in a residential college? Now at Otago we call them residential colleges. Overseas they call them halls of residence, accommodation halls, dormitories. So yeah, what was your experience living in a residential college?
Yes, so I lived in Arana, which is a college 5 minutes away from the Otago campus. And actually, out of, I think, 13 colleges, most of them are within a 10-minute walk to the campus. So it's just a great way to encourage you to show up to class, to go to the library, to study, to attend your tutorial, just because of how close it is to just get up and go. And also, it's a really nice way to have a peace of mind that you don't have to worry about paying bills, cooking food, keeping yourself warm. In the first year that you're trying to transition into a new way of education, you can just focus on your studying and making friends and building a life that you will enjoy in Dunedin.
Nice. So we've all got different backgrounds. Alissa, you started at home and then you moved into a uniflat. Now I'm just going to explain a little bit about uniflats. They are, so about a couple of hundred of them, and they tend to be townhouses or sometimes individual bungalows. They're all different. Students have their own bedroom, they share a kitchen, they share a bathroom, some have gardens, all different shapes and sizes, and you are specifically put with students that are similar in background to you, normally with shared interests. So how was your uniflat experience?
I would say it was the most amazing experience I've ever had in my entire life. That was quite lucky that I got into uni flats actually, because there was this only spot left. They were like, okay, you have this only spot left, go. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And it's just the most amazing experience. I think it's because first year, I made the mistake of not going to a hall, because for me it was quite hard making friends when I was in a hall, and I was just going home, lectures home. So it was not the greatest experience. Then I went to uni flats after a few months, and then I realized that, oh my God, this is the most amazing experience. One, it's because you're living in a house full of amazing people that are from different parts of the world. They're from Asia, they're from America, Canada, I don't know, sometimes they're from the rarest country you would ever find, and you're like, okay, where is that? But it's just such an amazing community because we have so many events as well that we just gather around, and you meet this amazing huge chunk of people that are just literally from all over the world. And what I also like about that is it's a mixture of Kiwis and international students, because you have a Kiwi host, which is the person that lives in your flat as well, but as a Kiwi, and he or she is going to guide you through the places that you should go, the activities that you should do, and they're more of a guide to you, but they live in the same house as you, if that makes sense. And I just love how everything just connects together. It's a good transition from meeting Kiwis and meeting international people as well. But I think the saddest thing is just saying goodbye to them every 6 months or maybe sometimes a year. But I wouldn't trade it for a world. It's the most amazing thing
Now
ever.
I have to ask you about cooking, because in uni flats you do have to cook.
Yeah, we do have to cook, but I think that's really a good thing, because you get to cook with each people that are from different parts of the world. You don't know what they're cooking, and you're like, oh, can I try? And then there you go. That's a piece of Asia for you. That's a piece of Western food for you. And it's just such an amazing thing because you eat different cultures, I guess. Yeah, like, if that makes sense, because you just eat people's comfort food. And you're like, oh, this is so good. And then you learn recipes from them. So you're like, okay, that if they're gone, I can make this. And it's just such an easy thing to do. And yeah, I was really blessed to have that experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Cool. So Quang, again, quite a different background. You came from homestay in Wellington and you went into private flatting. So how about some tips or tricks of how to find a flat?
Tips and tricks in finding a flat. So there are many flatting groups on Facebook, and a lot of them are Otago flatting goods and just flatting in general. And on Try Me as well, there are many places that you can hide. So the best way is to check out all of those options, and preferably at an earlier time before the semester, probably 2 months earlier than the actual, enrollment date. Then you might be able to find a flat, but if you really want good flats, you really have to plan ahead, like half a year ahead. So it's certainly a difficult spike, but if you want a really thrilling challenge, and if you want a really strong friendship coming out of such rough situations, then flatting is certainly the way to go, and so much more freedom.
Yeah, cool. So you're both going into, June and Alissa going into flatting this year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, actually, so with residential halls, you need to move out by the end of your last exam. Yep, so for this year, I started flatting actually a month ago, because that was when my last exam was, and I just joined a random flat from a Facebook group, and it was actually amazing. I did not expect to meet such cool people who just take me to the beach, up the mountains, go hiking all the time. Like, I think it's a thrilling experience, as Quang said, and there are many, many good flats around Dunedin that we always need a couple more people to fill the room.
Yeah, this town has 20,000 students. You will not end up living with a student regardless, and students are really creative with their activities. So if you just went in, it's best to socialize with people living there, because isolating in your room, there's so much opportunity lost just not socializing with those students.
Very cool.
That comes on now. You're allowed to work 20 hours a week while you're studying part-time, and then full-time during the holidays. June, you have a part-time job. How's that finding study and balance?
Yes, so I do have a retail job that I work part-time during the school year, and I'm currently working full-time during summer. And I would say with the workload so far that I've experienced, balancing working and studying can be a bit tricky, but if you know how to, it's not difficult. So my shifts are on the weekends, and basically you can get all of your work done during the week. You go to lectures and tutorials in the morning, you do your homework in the evening, and you should be all good to go.
Would you suggest though getting a part-time job in your first semester when you first arrive?
Nope, I would not suggest that at all. The reason why I have a part-time job this entire year was because I did it in high school. But I would not recommend your first semester in a new place having a part-time job. It can be a bit stressful, and especially you should not have a part-time job on both days of the weekends. It does put a toll on your social life a little bit, yeah. So I would recommend, if you were to have a part-time job, maybe do it during the afternoon and evening of some weekdays, and then you can have the weekends to yourself, to relax, to go out, do some sports, enjoy student life, yeah.
Nice. So a bit about socialising, nice segue, because we talked about sport. Now, what we get asked a lot about when we're overseas is food. We've obviously touched on spices. And can you eat out cheaply in the city? So what restaurants or cheap eat tips would you give future students?
For me, it's just the local fish and chip shops. Like, it's okay when you say fish and chips, like the thing that you think of is like, you know, dirty, like, you know, fish with a lot of bones, but that's not like that in New Zealand. You get like $2 fish and chips, and that would set you up for the whole day, like whole day, let me tell you. Or if you don't like fish, you can go with chicken. And let me tell you, that's gonna set up for like maybe the whole week, because you're gonna have leftovers, and there are so many like amazing shops here in Dunedin, because like we're just so close to the city. And I think that's really the greatest thing, is because since we're so close to the city, like people get so creative, and they just have they make up ideas that just would relate to students as well, like bubble tea, or just vegan food, vegetarian food, which is quite popular nowadays. And they're quite cheap, I'm not gonna lie, especially if you're a student. So yeah, quite lucky that we have that in the Octagon.
Ooh, I'm an expert at this.
You've been flatting.
Oh, definitely. So I would categorize them in 3 sections. The first one is a price range from roughly from $2 to $5. You got that. So the best place you're gonna get those kind of food is probably in Miga Hako. Yes. And a similar characteristics as all of this place share is that those $5 meals, they're gonna be in form of either sushi or rice bowl. That's just what you're gonna get. Or fish and chips, but of course she has covered that. The second price range is around roughly to $8 to $12. Then you got so many places in the city to choose. You got Chopstick, you got Golden Island, you got noodle stores. You get so much. And the third price range is probably the most fancy. There's one, usually you find those kind of those restaurants in bars and in brewery, and of course those are also available in Octagon as well. But I do not recommend those, because the experience you get out of a $5 sushi box in a windy day outside the city is just so memorable.
Cool. I can't believe any of you haven't spoken about the International Food Festival.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, last year. Yeah.
Were you guys involved in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
But this is one-time opportunity.
True.
My friend and I this year made like a goal to try every single restaurant on George Street. So far we have not. we do try to. I don't really know what to add, because these two has covered pretty much everything that's amazing about Dunedin restaurants. Although I do want to mention that there's the food court in the Meridian Mall, and yeah, it's just, if you don't really know what you want, go to the food court, see all the options. There's a lot, and you can just pick and choose from them if you don't feel like planning ahead.
Fantastic, thank you. So we've covered food, there's a lot of options, and I've learned $2 to $5 options, so I know who to talk to after this. But there are so many other things that you can get involved in Dunedin. So in the student city, we've talked about Unipol, but what other things have you tried or experienced that you may not have done before you got here? Let's start with Quang in the middle.
Right. So with flat things, you got so many cultures jump up together. And the best thing I like to do, and they like to do as well, is to share cultures or hobbies with each other. So I have no concept of doing barbecue outdoor. It was just not a thing, but I certainly got invited to many barbecues, and I quite like the New Zealand style of barbecue. It's just very simple, plain bread on cooked stuff. And of course, I share my culture with them as well. I share them my childhood. So we got this little toy called Beyblades, and 4 grown men would just stay buying toys, $20 each, and play Beyblades with each other. It's quite an experience.
Spinny thing.
It's a spinny
Oh,
thing,
okay.
yeah.
Spin, like fight each other and like this spinny thing.
Yeah, explain it to the Generation X here. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much more, but certainly exchanging cultures, norm is quite great.
Very cool. How about you, Alissa?
Well, I've definitely experienced a lot this year. I think one of the things I've experienced is partying a lot. I don't think that's appropriate, but you know, like Otago is quite famous for a lot of parties and stuff. And at first I was a bit shy going into, you know, that kind of, you know, area. But then the more people you meet, the more they're gonna drag you in there and you'll have the most amazing time of your life. But apart from that, you know, having international friends because of uni flats, they've certainly made me try a lot of things that they've experienced in their home countries and I've never, like for example, skiing. Like we don't have snow in the Philippines, so they dragged me to do skiing in Queenstown, and oh my god, I would say it was memorable. Like you do need to have a lot of flexibility to do skiing, but like it was definitely worth all of it. And yeah, I think road trips as well, that I've never experienced a road trip because that's quite scary in the Philippines if you do that with your friends. But like it was just amazing, just a big road trip into the South Island with all of your mates is just an amazing experience.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to jump on the road trip one. So I literally just got back from a road trip around the South Island, Queenstown, Dunedin, Timaroon, and Dunedin, Queenstown. And yeah, road trips are great because the roads in New Zealand just allow you to drive so smoothly, whereas traffic in Vietnam just would not allow that at all. And also in terms of what I've done in Dunedin I wouldn't have done otherwise, I would say the OUSA clubs are a great place to start. I would say they pretty much have something for everyone, and they do have like international countries club as well. So you can join that if you'll be able to find one for yourself. And also I'm into theater and photography and arts, so pretty much just jump on Facebook, scroll around a bit, and you would pretty much find something that you would find interesting. I'm currently doing photography for a theatre production, and it just allowed me to meet so many new people that share my same interests, and it's been really fun so far.
Awesome. And that's the beauty, I think, of a smaller city, is it's connected, it's easy to meet new people and share different experiences because you're not stuck in traffic for an hour, hour and a half, everything's walkable. It's a really, really good, easy way of getting around.
I think one thing we hear is that students in other cities are commuting. They live out in the suburbs, they commute in for lectures, maybe a little bit of library, and then they have to head back out into the suburbs. While here, I think as you've been explaining, everyone's sort of just living and breathing and enjoying and socialising and studying together. So yeah, you're like one big family.
Yeah. Okay, we've had some more questions coming through, so thank you so much. I have got somebody from Facebook. Do students have to complete any internships in their last year? Now, I'm not, you guys
Aren't you last year, are
You're
you?
not in your last year, you're too new. Internships?
Probably not,
No. This is quite a round question because dependent on which program you do, some will have internships, some won't have internships. So if you've got a specific question on a course, please pop it in the Facebook chat and Joyce will be able to help you out in an answer there. Okay, so I've got another one from Ingrid from Facebook. She's asking, when it comes to finances, I'm sure you guys are all down with your finances, Was it difficult to budget for daily expenses? And are the academic expenses, which may be quite heavy for new international students?
I will answer on the international student part first. So just to apply for visa loan, the government requires you to have 15,000 New Zealand dollars, which cover basic living expenses for yourself. And if, let's just say that you don't put it in a bank with massive interest rate, then set another account and pay your entire rent on the first day you come to New Zealand. Yeah, just do so. And the rest of the money will be available for your budgeting. You will have to consider on average how much you eat per week. For me, it's $75, which is quite hefty. And annually electricity bill and also internet bill. Internet bill is fixed, but electrical bills, it varies per season, but normally there's a strict pattern, so it's really up to you. But otherwise, do leave at least $1,000 for, basic stuff like going out restaurants, hanging out with friends, clothes, whatever's good for you.
Yep. He covered everything. So, to be honest, living here it's not cheap as people would say, but it's definitely cheaper than Auckland, cheaper than big cities. And I think that's like such a huge bonus for us. But, weekly expenses, I don't think it's going to be a lot. Like for me personally, I don't go over $200 a week just for weekly expenses because I eat at home. Sometimes I eat out, but it's still going to cover like under those $200. And, socializing with friends, it's still going to come under $200. For accommodation, I wouldn't go, personally for my uni flats, it's $240 a week. So, but everything is included. Internet is included, water is included. So, I don't really have to worry about that. But for next year, it's relatively going to be cheaper. It's only going to be $115 a week. So, yeah, it's definitely achievable, I would say.
Yes. I would say in terms of paying for your tuition as an international student, if you went to high school in New Zealand, Otago has a great university entrance scholarship, which means that if you got excellence endorsement in level 2 and level 3 or just level 2, you get scholarship, and that really, really helps with your tuition. You can also apply for academic excellence or leadership of tomorrow. So Otago University offers a lot of scholarships to pretty much everyone who has a goal that they want to achieve. And I would say if you're studying in New Zealand right now, definitely take a look into that because it would really help with your finances in your first year.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, I want you to tell the audience one thing you wished you knew before coming to study at Otago. And I'll start with Quang.
One thing that I wish I knew before I came to the school is probably that everyone respects your voices. So just feel free to ask, feel free to speak out, and just do whatever, make friends. Everyone is new, everyone comes from high school. So your first year is always going to be the biggest opportunity to just form a community around yourself.
For me, I think the number one thing I wish I could have done is go to a hall. I think that's the number one thing that I would just recommend to all the year 13s out there, or all the future students that are just coming to, first year, because I think it would definitely set you up for the entire of your degree, because you would meet so many people and it's just so easy to make friends. But if not that, I would say don't be afraid to talk to people. I know I was intimidated at first. I just was so shy. I was so scared of not making friends. But then I realized how easy it was. Literally, if you just approach someone, just talk about your course, talk about, what you're actually doing, or, just a simple, hey, hello, how are you going? And it'll just be like a foundation of everything. You'll meet so many friends if you just have the courage to speak up and just to talk and ask the person beside you in your lectures, tutorials, what they're doing after, you know, lectures. And that will be such a helpful thing because you'll meet so many amazing people. You have such an amazing year in your doing your paper because you have so many help from other students as well, and you have friends. So yeah, don't be afraid to speak up and talk to people because they'll just be around you, and they're in the same boat as you. So yeah.
Great advice.
In terms of one thing I wish I knew before I come to Otago would be that keep an open mind and don't have an expectation of what your year is supposed to be. I would say there is probably a stereotypical type of what the first year is supposed to be that, you know, people might pass around, internet myths, all that, but that would be a major pressure on yourself if you think that you have to live your life a certain way that would be appealing. I would say that at Otago there's always something for everyone. You just gotta go look for it and be authentic to yourself. Don't try to make your year the ideal year that it's supposed to be, because you would enjoy yourself a lot more if you just, be honest.
Great advice from all of you. And let's like ask Otago. Ask.
Ask.
Love it. So we've talked about some tips for future students. If you've got any more time, is there any other questions that, you know, if somebody was to ask you something that you would like to pass on, or what would you think for your second year coming up? For the 2 out of first year, you're a little bit more confident now, a lot more confident by the sounds of it. And what are you looking forward to most in your second year?
I think the workload. I think it's like, because when I was in my first year, it was a bit easy going. It was more, you know, lectures and not a lot of doing. But I think what I'm looking forward to, like, next year is just a lot of doing and less of like listening to lectures and stuff. It's really going to be more hands-on into stuff. So I'm quite excited about that. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of pressure. But yeah, quite excited.
Yeah, for my second year, I would say now that I've spent my first year trying to figure out, you know, what type of studying and what type of people I want to be around with, I would just enjoy my second year. I've set up all the clubs I want to join. I set up what studying that I want to do, and now that I can actually just enjoy it.
Fantastic. And going into your final year?
Yeah, my third year. So I'm expecting to start preparing for my future career. I already got directions since the start of this year, and I'm looking forward to start preparing, finish my degree, and step out, see what's there for me.
Fantastic.
Okay, we're coming to the end of our talk show, so I really want to thank Alissa, Quang, June for participating. You've all been absolutely fabulous ambassadors, so thank you so much.
So for the audience out there, if there's any questions that we didn't have time to address this hour, please feel free to contact Ask Otago. You've heard quite a lot about them today. It's on our University of Otago webpage, and we really look forward to welcoming you to Otago. A huge thank you to all three of you for taking your time out today. It's been great. I've learned a lot. I'm now off to get some cheap food. And thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.